So welcome. There's two internal grant programs I'm going to talk about today, and one, the Moy Collaborative Research Fund, as the name implies, is collaborative. You have to have faculty from both UIS and the SIU School of Medicine. We have other internal funds listed on our website for helping like seed projects or assist faculty with conference presentations or help students as well. And we'll have time for Q&A. So this is a screenshot of our website. So we have a calendar, active calendar now. We have a Facebook feed so you can see the latest news. And if you have news you'd like to share about what you're doing in research, what your students are doing, please let me know. I can help publicize that. The UIS marketing people follow me, so they can also help spread the good news. So, and I should also introduce in the audience is Kim Irby, is the program coordinator in the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs. So she can also assist you with questions about how to submit proposals or how to fill out IRB applications, some of the other activities we do in the office. This is about the internal grant programs, and the two today are specifically seed money. So it's smaller pots, smallish pots, with the idea that you could get some preliminary data to then use to prepare for external competitions. And the guidelines, the call for proposals, are already on the website. And the deadline this year is January 24th, and it's a year-long funding is for an entire calendar year. Again, the goal is to seed ideas you have for research, and so under the general umbrella of scholarly growth of faculty. So scholarly specifically meaning research, but in the UIS we accept the Boyer model, so we broadly define what research and other creative activities would be. And so just to distinguish it, we don't fund curricular type projects. And again, if there's maybe a new area, you guys are young, so but if you were older and like wanting to shift your research agenda, this could be a way to kind of get into a new area, in which case you would want in your application to justify like what this new area is, why you're moving to it, and then why you would need the funding to accomplish that. And then public policy, public affairs is one of our mission. So it doesn't have to be public policy related, but that could be an area that you work in. We also secondarily are interested in, for this program, in the scholarly growth of students. And it's not a requirement to include students in your project. And actually, it doesn't really give you a competitive advantage. The research board who reviews these proposals, it is a checkbox, but it doesn't add or take away points from the review. The reason it's a checkbox is if you do include students, then what's the quality of that interaction? Like, so you want to describe how the role of the student is and their contribution to your research project. Now, I am also interested in the scholarly growth of our students. So we have the undergrad student research support program. We have a grad student research support program. And in this program, there are funds for faculty who take on summer research students. So there is some incentive to include students in your project in this program. like I said, this is a year-long project. It's next fiscal year funds. And part of your proposal, you should talk about how this project could be accomplished within that calendar year, and what the timeline might be. What would you do in the summer or in the fall or the spring or all three? And if you're going to hire a student, that would be during the summer is when you can use the funds to hire a student. If you do have summer plans for the project, you should also mention what other responsibilities you have during the summer. If you're teaching a class, if you're chairing a department, so that we can weigh, again, how feasible it will be for you to accomplish the project in a year. So the guidelines are listed already on the website. There's different sections of the proposal, just your basic information, who you are, what college you're in. The narrative is 3 to 5 pages. You need a budget, itemized budget, and bibliography, and just a 2-page CV. I know some of you have 25-page CV. So this is in National Science Foundation. This is a standard format, a 2-page bio, and we actually have an example of an NSF bio if you are curious how to crunch, condense, and highlight in just 2 pages your professional accomplishments. So in the narrative, you should have an introduction that talks about what current research is in the area. You need a statement of need. What are the specific challenges for your project that you're trying to address? What are the objectives of your project? What do you plan to do? What is the problem statement or application? What are the specific goals? And that could be helpful if you tie that to your timeline. In the summer, I'm going to accomplish this part, and then so on. How this relates to your research agenda, how it will advance your research, and you could talk about how this is an opportune time in your career timeline, like you have extra time this summer to devote to research, or you're going to be up for your 4-year review, and there's a piece you need to complete that this could help you with. What your specific expected results would be if you've been supported by the university in the past. What that was. Did you get an NIA to do research or something like that, and what you accomplished with that past support. There may be travel involved. It could be for research purposes. This program, we're not paying you to travel to conferences. There's a separate scholarly presentation support program for that. And then for your expenses, you'll need to keep your receipts and itemize your expenses to charge to the project. If this is not a new project, if you've ever had some support, then describe why you need continued support to continue the project. But it's only 3 to 5 pages, so all of that needs to be succinct. On the budget side, you can get up to $5,000 in these following categories. Contractual, so that would mean, for example, hiring a student worker, and we should I need to raise that value. That's, as of January, minimum wage goes up in Illinois, and actually right now we are suggesting faculty who hire student workers for research purposes to pay them $10 an hour because we feel like there's value in the research, and the students have skills they should have skills. That's why you're hiring them, to help you with the research. So minimum wage seems to devalue that experience for the student. Travel. So again, you can charge travel, airfare, hotel, mileage, but not for conferences. Commodities or supplies, stipend. So this only applies if you are going to have summer students. So over the summer, you typically aren't on contract, so this is in recognition of that. You would get some stipend to do this work in the summer with a student. And then equipment, supplies and equipment. Equipment is defined as something that's going to last more than a year, and usually is more than $5,000. Since your max budget is $5,000, it's hard to get equipment on this project. Hopefully you'll be using literature, so you can have a reference section in addition to 3 to 5 pages, and of course the 2-page CV. Where does the funding come from for this program? It comes from the general fund for the university, and so that total pot is very limited. It's published on a website annually, and it can vary year to year depending on how much the state allocates to the university. So this is a competitive program, as the name implies, and not everyone will get funded, so you want to try to put forward your best proposal. The proposals are reviewed by the research board, and the research board has the discretion to reduce the amount of funding. So you might ask for $5,000, and the research board might come back and say, we approve $3,000. Don't be surprised if that happens, and we'll work with you to try to figure out, can you still do the project with the decreased budget, or are there other sources of funding to make up the gap? The research board is the members are listed on the website, and it is comes from nominations from across campus. So there are people from every college, representing every college. There's a member representing academic professionals, and so they may or may not be familiar with you or your discipline, and probably not your project. So you need to be able to present your proposal in a way that others could understand it outside of your discipline. And also you'll want to mention your scholarly history. Again, the 2-page CV has a little bit of that, but in your proposal narrative, as you describe your research agenda, that might be a good place to put in some background, like how did you end up in this area. Okay, you can submit electronically. Actually, you must submit electronically to the Office of Research Administration email address. There is a step. Once we receive it, we send it out actually to your college dean, and they review it just for approval. They don't rank the proposals. It's more to inform them so they know what you're planning to do. And then the research board reviews, makes recommendations, and then I'll issue the awards as the funds are available. And we try to get these notices out before spring break so you can plan your summer. And that's why the deadline is January, right at the beginning of spring semester. All these dates are on the website. And then once you're granted the award, there are a couple other dates you have to track. You have to spend the money by a certain date, since it is tied to the state appropriation. And then we want to know, like, how you're doing. Did you make progress? What's the final outcome of the project? So we have some report expectations from you as well.